Yeah, all right. Kanye West is not crazy. Kanye West is and has always been eccentric. He's always been outspoken. He's always been off the hinges. He's always had his own opinion that he wants everybody to know about. Uh, people throw around the word narcissistic like everybody's a doggone psychologist or something. You know, Kanye West is what. Let me tell you something. There's a thing called confidence, and there's a thing called overconfident. Kanye West, he's not overconfident. He's just very, very, very sure. He's very, very, very sure. And when we look at the history of Kanye West, let's go all the way back. Listen, Kanye West started off as a salesman. He used to sell knives. He used to go door to door selling knives. That's what he did when he was younger. Dropped out of college, was selling knives in order for his hustle. And while Kanye was doing that, he learned how to record and mix and all that stuff using like the very old style of doing it, using plugins. Now you can just do it with your computer. But there was a DJ who showed him how to do that in a basement. Like Kanye literally would learn in a basement and learn how to plug in and then do all this stuff. And he was so good at it that eventually people was like, yo, listen to this dude. So when Kanye started getting a little, buzz about him, he ran into people like Talib Kweli and his group and Black Star. And when they heard they let him do some stuff for him because Kanye was good. They couldn't ignore him. And Kanye would be talking to them. He's like, look, my first album, I'm going to do this. My second album, I'm going to do that. And they're just like, dude, we just heard of you. But his confidence, and he was telling them, he was projecting on them, listen, this is what I'm going to do. And then turn around a couple years later, he did it. Then he wins all these Grammys. And of course, he gets into business with these people because, he went to art school and all this, and the guy is just brilliant. And then, the whole thing where he was, $55 million in debt. He was like, Mark Zuckerberg, help me. Are you going to be the Da Vinci family? Which was a family, I think, in Italy who, what they did was they financed artists. That's what they did. The Da Vinci family, very rich people that financed artists. And that's what he was asking Mark Zuckerberg to do. Finance me, you'll get your money back. I don't know if Mark Zuckerberg answered that call. Nonetheless, soon after that, he got into the Gap. He got into Adidas. And he got all these deals. And he started designing all these clothes and all this stuff. And he said even they would marginalize me. They would limit him to how much they would back him up and let him do until they had success. Now, of course, they're going to do this because they're taking a chance on your talent. Nobody's going to throw a huge amount of money at you and just say, Kanye, just go ahead and do whatever. No, that's what he wanted, though. He's like, I can only do so much with the very little you're giving me. And they're just like, yeah, we know that. You have to have a proven track record first in order for us to give you more. That's called business. They don't want to, put all their money behind someone that has no proven record. It just doesn't work like that. So I couldn't blame him. But nonetheless, him being so sure of himself, you got to, like from the very beginning, I'm sure that I can make Adidas a lot of money. But you're not sure that I can make you a lot of money. And that's pissing me off. And he has a track record of doing this. I can do this. I don't believe you until you prove it. That's just business. He's going, but I can do it. And every time, what happened? He did it. Every single time. That's why he's the richest black man in America. I believe. Yeah, I think he's the richest black man in America. And look how fast he did it. Kanye West is not an old man. So today we have Kanye West losing all of these deals that he, got into with. Even his basketball team from his school was kicking out the tournament. People are erasing his murals. Adidas is like, we don't want nothing to do with him. And all of these, Gap, I'm through with him. And all these companies don't want anything to do with Kanye. They're distancing themselves from him because they don't want the financial backlash. They don't want listen, when Kanye left the Gap, he was doing an interview, and behind him was the stock market. The stock that was behind him was actually the Gap's stock, and it was falling while he was talking. And he was telling the person, listen, you don't have more money than me. I know what I'm doing. I have more money than you for a reason, because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. Now, this isn't always true, but Kanye has been right more than wrong. When he told Swayy that Swayy didn't have the answer, Kanye was wrong. And he later said, you know what, Swayy did have the answer. Because Swayy told Kanye, go direct to the customer. Stop going to the middleman. And that's what Kanye eventually did. But Kanye doesn't like people to tell him what to do. But Swayy had the answers. He's like, go direct to the people. Go direct to market. Don't go through a middleman. That's what he did. That's how he that's how he got more money in his pocket. Now, when you are dealing with people at that level, you realize who is in control. This is Kanye's beef. Kanye does not hate any race of people. He hates what's being done to his race. Let's get that understood. Now, everything doesn't come out beautiful when you're somebody who has that much going on. And you can't name me anybody else who has as much going on as Kanye West. I mean, the man was running for president. Okay? The man was running for president. Now, he said some things that really rattled people's cage. He had a mega hat on. When Kanye West was wearing the mega hat and doing interviews with Donald Trump, called Donald Trump his father, all the black people were hating on Kanye West until Joe Biden came into office. Gas prices went up. All the ports, all the stuff at the ports were slowed down by Donald Trump because Donald Trump realized that these people are ripping America off. Donald Trump went to the whatever that group is that we're in, the United Nations is in, and he was telling them, listen, for one, Germany, if you keep messing around with Russia for all your gas, you're going to be in trouble. That's happening right now. See, you have to understand that there are a lot of people who are for Donald Trump right now because they have money in their pocket. Kanye West is focused on his money. That's what he was doing. He's focused on his money. He's focused on how things get done. And this is why he was for Donald Trump. He was for Donald Trump. Donald Trump released people out of prison. He got more people released out of prison than any other president. Any other president. And you talk about people that were in prison for weed who had almost life sentences, 10 to 25 for weed. And you go to Denver and people are selling weed out in the open. And it is a known truth that black people get longer sentences than any other race, and that there are more black people in jail for nonviolent crimes than any other race. There's 2 million people right now who are in jail. The majority of them are black people, and this is a known fact. Now, there are more white people that go in and out of the jail system because there are 236 million white people and there are only 40 million black people. So there's more people going in and out, but there are more black people who go in and don't come out. Let's get this understood. So Donald Trump was making phone calls and he was pardoning people. Another person who liked Donald Trump was Kodak Black. Kodak Black, what a lot of people don't know, is he was, whenever there was a police shooting and a police died, Kodak Black would pay for the cop's funeral. So Donald Trump was like, get Kodak Black out of jail. So while all this was going on, Kanye West is seeing this. He's seeing how Donald Trump was talking to China and telling China, look, you guys are ripping us off when it comes to imports and exports. When you export something over here, 20%. When we export it over there, you charge us 70%. It was a ridiculous rate. Donald Trump told all these nations, the Saudis, who we got beef with right now, Donald Trump told them, he said, we're losing our ass protecting you. You owe us a lot of money. And now look what the Saudis are doing. They're threatening us, talking about freaking jihad and stuff like that. Donald Trump was right, and Kanye West knew it. And a lot of black people are finally waking up to how right Donald Trump was, because Trump's not a politician. This is why Kanye West had the mega hat on. And here's what's really scary. A lot of you black people will wear that mega hat today. You would do it today because you've seen what Joe Biden is doing. He's about to send $50 million over there to the Ukraine, or $50 billion to the Ukraine. This is $50 billion more, while California looks like a cesspool. New York is falling apart. Chicago's got more murders than they ever had. It's pandemonium. And it's everybody for themselves. Nobody is safe. Let's get back to Kanye West. When Kanye West is dealing with people who make moves, the majority of those people fall into one class. That's one race of people who are controlling. They're controlling the banks. They're controlling land. They're controlling. Listen, we send billions and billions of dollars to Jerusalem. Why? Why? Why did Obama send like $40 billion over there? Why? Because of the people who control Jerusalem. The Jewish people. The people who control the banks. Who do you think controls the banks? The Jewish people. Who do you think controls? Let's get into it. Donald Trump, Kanye West, in that interview in Drink Champs, he talked about the abortions and how abortion is sky high. Why is there an abortion clinic in every hood? In every hood, there's not far from a liquor store. Why is this? Because our abortion rate is off the chain. And there is reason for this. Slavery never ended. And there's another thing he said, slavery was a choice. And people are like, wait a minute, how's slavery a choice? And they look back to when we got on the boats, or were forced on the boats and brought up here. But let's look at this. Now the Woman King movie comes out, and they hide the real truth behind the Woman King. The real truth is that those Africans that story is made of, they were slave traders. The African people put African people on those boats and brought them over here. Now, when you're talking about a choice, of course, we didn't choose to get our backs whipped or all these things that happened to us. But he's talking about what you're doing now is your choice. Another interview they had with him, and they said, you turned your back on the culture. He said, yes, I turned my back on the culture. I turned my back on marginalism. I turned my back on people. He's like, I turned my back on music in the way music is presented to us. He's like, he went through the list of people at the top of iTunes right now, and the rappers he's talking about right now, and listen to what they're talking about. I'm a F your B. I'm a run into your house. I'm gonna do all of this stuff. You gotta understand, the wave of music right now is literally killing us. Literally. Who controls the music? If you don't understand this, this is why you don't understand Kanye West. If you go back to 1990 and 1991, let's look at 1990. 1990, a song came out, Self-Destruction. It was 89, 90, 91, somewhere around there. You're headed for self-destruction, where all of these rappers got together and was talking about the black community and all the things that they're talking about. When also during that time, who came out? NWA. NWA came out. They hit the market hard. They were supposedly gangsters that were out there, saying, hey, we're gangsters, F the police and all that. Let me ask you something. How many of those members do you think were actually gangsters? The answer is 0. None of them were gangsters. They were all paper gangster. Ice Cube is not a gangster. Eazy-E was not a gangster. None of them was. Yellow Boy, none of them. They were not. Dr. Dre came from the world-class Wrecking Crew. That's where he came from. He made songs with Michelle A. Something in my heart. Something. That's Michelle A. And the producer is Dr. Dre. He was never a gangster. Never, not once. But what they did, the Jewish people heard the music. They heard Poor Righteous Teachers, Rock This Funky Joint. They heard Queen Latifah. They heard Flavor Flav and his crew. They heard it and they said, your music is boring. We don't want to hear this music anymore. We want to hear destructive music. So they went and got NWA and they pushed them to the hilt. That happened in the early 90s. They pushed it and look what happened. Crips and Bloods. Look what happened with Crips and Bloods. Crips and Bloods were two groups that were supposed to be better in their neighborhood and protecting their neighborhood. They ended up turning on each other by this goofy music, and they were slaughtering each other. And they're still doing it today. So when you listen to Kanye West, Kanye in his interviews, he's talking about all of that. He's talking about all of our babies dying. He's like, I want to see the Jewish children suffer what we're suffering. He's like, they're not doing that because Kanye ran into a brick wall. He ran into the Jewish people headlong, and he looked deep into the abyss, and it stared back at him. And he was like, you guys are the ones who are promoting this death. You're promoting this destruction of black people. And he couldn't take it anymore. He's like, I'm willing to die behind it. Listen, Kanye West, he's not on the wrong path. He's on the right path, and there would be more of you behind it if you actually took the blinders off your face and were just like, this dude is absolutely correct. When you look at the people who set up these abortion clinics, it was a Jewish white woman. When you look at the people who push the abortion clinics, it was Hillary freaking Clinton. And Bill Clinton was signing legislation to keep you in jail. 3 strikes and you're out. That came from Bill Clinton. Listen, these people are wicked. They hate us. You understand that. Now, do all Jewish people hate us? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's not even close to being true. But the people who are in control of the money, they're not relinquishing that control. They listen. If you go back to the book of Deuteronomy, if you even go back to the land of Ham, which was Africa, and you look in the Bible, God told Abraham that his children were going to be more than the stars in the sky, more than the sands on every beach. Meaning your children are going to breed like crazy. We are. Black people are able to have more children than pretty much any race I know. Just constantly get them out. Constantly get them out. You know why there's not more black people over here in America? It's because they're killing them off. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. I don't know the abortion numbers, but they're high. But why do they promote abortion? Why? Why is this? And another thing, the new abortion law that just changed, do you think that changed for black people? No. The abortion laws that they just came out with and said you cannot have an abortion, that law was made for white people because they are losing when it comes to the having children. They can't sustain their fighting, their drug use. They can't sustain their numbers. Their numbers are falling off. Listen, they lost 6 million people in just a couple years. They cannot sustain their numbers. Their numbers have fell 2% and they're constantly losing. This is all over the world. This is why they made those abortion laws. Now, here's the knee-jerk reaction. You got the black people over here. It's just like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because we can have 8, 9, 10, 11 children. The majority of our women, we can get them out. Bam, 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 bam. And they know this. They know this. And they know that these black women can produce, these black families can produce. So what do? They separated the man and the woman. They told the black woman, get the man out of the house. We'll be your father. We will take care of you if you get that black man out of the house. And those women fell for that. And now these women are starting to wake up like, y'all did this on purpose. Yes, they divided and they Willie lynched everyone. They divided and conquered. If you get the man out the house, if you keep having enmity with your man, you won't have as many babies. Kanye West is not crazy. He can just see through all the madness because he's meeting the people who actually are keeping this madness intact. That's what's going on with Kanye. Listen, we hear about the they. Kanye is meeting with the theys. He actually is shaking hands and talking to the so-called they who are in control of billions and billions of dollars, who can turn your lights out right now, who control other billionaires like Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey is not in control of her destiny. She never was. She never was. She's a front man for this destruction. How do we know this? Because Oprah was telling she was introducing these young women to Harvey Weinstein. We know Oprah she ain't no damn good, not whatsoever. And it's just so deep, and I just feel sorry for Kanye because Kanye. Here's the thing he didn't realize. Kanye, we're not at the top. We're not at the top of the food chain. And your success is what's going to get you hurt. Your mind constantly thinking of these ideas, then going to these people and then embracing these ideas. And then you're getting all this money. You're getting all this money because your ideas are good. We like your ideas. We want to wear your clothes. We wanted this. We wanted that. And then when you get so high, you outgrew all of your competitors who could help you. Now the only people at the top is you and them. It's just you and them. You're worth $3.5 billion. It's just you. Who else, Kanye? Listen, I think there's like 7 or 8 black billionaires. It's not too many. But who else, Kanye? Who's going to get up there where you're at and talk like you? No one. No one. Jay-Z ain't going to do it. Jay-Z is controlled by the music just as and everything else. Because, listen, when you listen to these people talk about lawsuits and when they have to sit in court, they realize how much money they're paying to these lawyers. You know, all of those lawyers are the same race. They're all Jews. 50 Cent call them the Jew unit. Why is that? This is what I'm saying. Kanye West is not crazy. He realizes it's a losing game no matter what. And the children that are being lost in these abortion clinics, I mean, the reason for this is far and wide. It's beyond us. It's bigger than hip hop. They're taking these children and they're doing stem cell research with them. They're taking these children and they're doing all kind of heinous things with them. Finally, I wanted to see what you think. Yeah, you know, I usually talk for only a few minutes, but you know, when you ask about this, it's just so much information. And I'm an older dude, like I'm almost 55. I lived through it and watched it. I watched the destruction of hip hop. I watched it. I watched hip hop spread to other nations, and I watched other people dance to our, what we created, uh, which came out of Africa, that was transferred here by African Bambaataa. I watched all of that, and I was a part of it. I was like, yeah, this belongs to us, and I didn't really want to share it with anybody, but because I was ignorant of hip hop. Hip hop doesn't belong to any of us. Hip hop belongs to the people who are moving in that same wave or that same frequency. I think he should have used words, gatekeepers. Well, here's the problem with when it filters to us and we're like, we should have done this. Here's the problem. None of us are billionaires. None of us are in that struggle. None of us can match Kanye's stride. None of us can. We can't. So we don't fully understand his frustration, especially when it comes to seeing his people suffer and he can't do anything about it. So you're talking about somebody who is, able to do all these things, but he finally runs into something he can't do. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I can't do this, but I've been doing all this other super stuff, but this I can't do. How do I do? It's frustrating to him because he can't figure it out. And in his frustration, he didn't go to a publicist and say, what should I say? He got on Drink Champs, which is one of the worst places you can go because loose lips sink ships. And Kanye West is a very definition of that phrase. Loose lips sink ships. Look at how many people are bailing on him. Even Nori from Drink Champs went and apologized and said, I'm sorry I had the interview. And I was like, how in the hell did you did you even think that Kanye West, who's been talking about George Bush, doesn't like black people during when they were donating for the people in Louisiana? It was a televised show for donations, and he got on there and said George Bush doesn't like black people, and you didn't think that he was going to come on here and run off at the trap. He's been running off at the trap ever since he got money. Ever since he had a stage, he's been running off at the trap. And this wasn't his first interview. And you didn't think he was going to get on here and blow up Nori? No, you knew it. You knew it because you had him on here before, and your numbers went through the roof. You were there. You're the one who put him on here, and you got that money, Nori. You got that money, but he said something that nobody liked, and now you're like, I'm sorry. You're not sorry, Nori. You're only sorry because he's getting canceled, and your paymasters will cancel you too if you don't separate yourself from him. That's what you're sorry about. That's what you're sorry about. But it's a show where you get on a podcast and you drink, and then you run off at the damn mouth. Nah, Nori, you were in on it. You're complicit, Nori. You're complicit. You knew it. I'm like, nah, don't separate yourself now. What you should, don't get on there and apologize now because you know they can turn your lights off. No, you don't do anything, Nori. You shouldn't say anything. If you're not gonna back him up, just don't say anything. Just completely just be silent. And they say, Nori, you were silent during the whole thing. It's like, yeah, I was silent. We've had him on our show before. We did great numbers. We invited him back. We didn't think he was going to say this stuff. You saw during the interview, Nori was constantly saying, but we don't hate all Jews. Like we don't. He was trying to feed Kanye, trying to get Kanye to say we don't hate all Jews, and Kanye wouldn't say it. Kanye wouldn't say it, and look at Nori, and then he would say something else, and Nori was kept trying to get him to say that. No, Nori, no, Nori. Kanye West not only can buy your show, Kanye could probably buy YouTube if he wanted to. No. Kanye could be your owner if he wanted to. Kanye could buy your block if he wanted to. Let's get this straight, Nori. You're not talking to some black guy who just, happened to come out. You're talking to a man who's got $3.5 billion in finances and assets and influence. And I'm going to tell you something else. These people who are getting rid of Kanye and all this other stuff that they're doing, they're going to regret it. Because Kanye is sitting back and he's looking at all the people who are saying, we're done with you. But we've seen this over and over. When you have somebody that talented, and you cut that person off, that person bounces back, and then you get caught in the maelstrom because you didn't support him. He knows who his friends are now. Point blank. And Adidas, Gap, and all you other people who are pulling out, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it because he's creative. And what he's going to do is he's going to look at your competitor. And your competitor might not even be over here in America. Your competitor could be in China. Your competitor, listen now, your competitor is not always here in America. This is just where the product ends up on everyone's table. But when it comes to where the product is made and, other finance, look, Kanye can jump ship and he can go right over there to Africa. He can go right over there to Africa and he can start something and make that the new hotness. He can take $500 million, land in Africa, build a facility, put those people to work and say, we're going to do this and get some fly stuff out there and get it out there for less than what the Chinese charge America to make their stuff. You're not the only game in town. There's, one monkey don't stop no show. He can easily look at this, and I'm going to tell you who else did the same thing. Looked at other markets, and that's Akon. He looked at other markets. He was just like, well, I'm not going to deal with you. I'm going to go over here and deal with them. That's exactly what he did. He went to China, and he said, listen, I want to start my own coins. I want to build a city. I want to build a whole economic system that's outside of the economic system that they tore down back in 9/11. I want to be outside of that economic system. How do I do it? And China said, we're going to help build the support for a city. Your electric, your water, so on and so forth. And Akon was like, so what do I need to set up an electrical grid? And he's like, do I need $1 billion? And they said, no, it's going to cost more than $1 billion to set up an electrical grid and to get the rest of your support for a city. So you have people who are thinking outside the box. And Kanye West, he's not going to be broke tomorrow. They just cut off his money in those areas. It doesn't stop the customers from still saying, we want to buy this. We want to buy this. As a matter of fact, there are some people, I think iTunes says he doesn't have anything that's anti-Semitic on iTunes, not one of his songs. And because none of his music is anti-Semitic, we're still going to let his songs play, which was the right thing to do. Because, see, Kanye went and hired, who's the Captain Jack Sparrow dude? Went and hired his lawyer, the female, the good-looking female. That female pulled out. She was like, no, it's too much. I'm going to go ahead and pull out. No problem. No problem. No problem. All of these companies who are dipping out on him, you got to understand some of those companies are, listen, all of those companies are under contract. And what he's going to do, I'm telling you what he's going to do. He's going to get his lawyers and he's going to look at their contracts. He's going to do this, and we've seen this before. He's going to do this. He's going to look at their contracts and he's going to go, you owe me money. You owe me money because I did this, and this was for these terms. This was for this length. This is for this amount of money. And listen, those contracts are written so he can get paid in the future. And we've seen people do this in sports. Listen, and in order to get rid of me holistically, without me coming back and biting you in the ass, you have to pay me to get out of these contracts. Now, we've seen this before through Mariah Carey. Yeah, your boy Tone, I'll be following stuff. We've seen this before through Mariah Carey. When Mariah Carey flipped out and was, going on MTV half naked. And because she had so much bad publicity, Aerostar Records, whoever her record company was, they was like, we don't want nothing to do with you. She was like, fine, you have to pay me. They ended up paying her something like $36 million just to get rid of her. She came out the next year and had 5 #1 hits. You do not play with talented people. You don't do it. You don't play with talented, smart people because they're going to find a way around you. And this is I'm telling you in the future, this is what's going to happen. He's down today, but give him about another 5 minutes. And those people are going to regret it because he's going to go somewhere else. Somebody else is going to pick him up and they're going to say, we'll take a chance on you. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Next thing you know, you're going to be wearing some old weird stuff. You're just like, who made that? Kanye West made it. I'm telling you what's going to happen. He's going to sue all of these people who are bailing out on him. And he should. He rightfully should. Because those people, see, those people are, you know what they're afraid of? They're afraid of the customer. You speak out against the Jewish people and what the Jewish people have been doing. Listen, this is not a secret. He isn't lying. They're the ones who are controlling the music. They're the ones who are controlling the abortion clinics. They're the ones who are controlling money. He's not telling a lie. They're the ones who are telling you to don't get married. The marriage rate of Black people is in the toilet, and it's going down constantly. You got people. Listen, they push Cardi B, they push Megan Thee Stallion. Why are they the #1 female rappers? Why? Why is Lauryn Hill? Why did Lauryn Hill never make it that high? Because Lauryn Hill was never talking about being a whore. Never. You never heard that come out of her mouth. She was never talking about being a whore. Why is Cardi? Why are the top female rappers constantly talking about their ass as if we care? Why did they get on the MTV Awards or whatever that award was and they're grinding on each other? Why? Because the Jewish people push that. They want female on female cannot have children. This is one reason why Jay-Z and Beyonce is so big. Because Beyonce makes music, and that music is aimed at who? Females and gay men. That's who that music is aimed at. Listen to a lot of stuff Beyonce, she even talk about being a church girl, acting naughty. Beyonce has been telling women to go out and act any old kind of way while she's married and has children. Megan Thee Stallion, same thing. Tell me one thing Megan Thee Stallion has said to uplift the community. Oh, wait. Nothing. These people aren't uplifting the community, and this is what Kanye was talking about. He's talking about the music. He's talking about how terrible it is. They're not uplifting you. Cardi B is not uplifting you. Cardi B is tearing you down in every way possible. And she's married and has a child, has 2 children. Megan Thee Stallion has a 4-year degree. Why does Megan Thee Stallion not talk about her 4-year degree? She's got the same degree that I do. She's got a healthcare degree, health administration. That's what we have with health science. I don't know how it's said. Health science administration, I think it is. It's a science degree, but what is it? Health something. It's a bachelor in health science administration, I think it is. Yeah, health science administration, I think it is. Health administration. She never talks about it. Why does Megan Thee Stallion never talk about it? Why does Cardi B never talk about? Listen, if you ever seen Cardi B in her videos when her child is in her videos, she never talks crazy. And one time, Cardi B was standing, in her video, and she was playing one of them Rutty songs up or one of them, whatever, and her kid was coming. And she cut the music off immediately. She doesn't want culture listening to that terrible music, but your child can listen to it. Cardi B pitches that music knowing that little girls are dancing to up. These little girls, knee high to a butterfly, are listening to that trash. Cardi B knows this. They know it. And they pitched this trash. This is what Kanye was talking about. That man ain't crazy. But he can't go any further. He can't. He doesn't know how to build infrastructure. He doesn't know how to build a city. But it doesn't mean that he won't find out. I'm telling you, that's his. Listen, he's at a point where he complained about the infrastructure of music and money and who's in control of it. So now he's thinking, if I talk about this stuff, maybe I can get some help. Nobody helped him. Nobody helped him. Now he's thinking, what is my next move? So he came out and he made some apologies, right? Because other people were suffering or are suffering because of him. But now he's got to think, I need to get away from the system that's controlling everything that there is. Everything that I know, I need to get away from this system. Everything. What's his next move going to be? What do you think he's going to do? He's probably going to move. And here's the thing. When you look at Kanye West, he made a mistake when he married Kim Kardashian. But when you get into what the Kardashians are, it was a smart move in the beginning. It was a bad move in the end. So let's dissect it. Kim Kardashian is the child of a lawyer who fought in the OJ case. Her father is a lawyer, along with Johnny Cochran and a bunch of other lawyers that led even all the way up here to Ohio of the OJ case. The OJ case was huge. This is how her father got notoriety, right? Father passes away. Johnny Cochran also passes away. Leaves a family with, a meager means. They were middle class, but not very well known. Not well known at all. However, because of the OJ case, what happened to that family? They got a taste of fame. They were famous for a short while. And when they got a taste of that fame, they wanted more, especially the matriarch, which is her mother, Chris. She's like, I want some more of this. They like the glitz and the glamour. So in comes Bruce Jenner. Famous somewhat, but Bruce Jenner as a man, Bruce Jenner. Somewhat, okay. So Kim Kardashian is, of course, one of, I don't know how many, 4 or 5. So what she does through her mother is first, okay, so what Kim first is doing, Kim's working. She's a working woman, uh, not a working girl, not on the avenue. She's just a working person. What she does is she goes into people's houses and she redesigns their closet. And she resells and does a lot of it. She's a hustler, which I give it to her for because I love the hustle. So this is what she did. Then she runs into Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton did what? She had a sex tape. Before Paris Hilton's sex tape, you didn't even know who she was, even though Paris Hilton is filthy rich. She's rich because of her father and her grandfather, the Hiltons, that own the hotels. But she was not famous. But she wanted to be famous. So the same thing happened. You went out, had a sex tape, you got famous. But you already had money. Kim sees this. Her mother sees this and goes, we want you to make a sex tape. So they wrote up a contract with Ray J, who she was, one of the few, a couple guys she was dating at the time. They wrote up a contract with Ray J and said, we'll pay each one of you $400,000 to go ahead and make the sex tape. And the thing about it, there are 3 sex tapes. And Kim was like, yes, we're going to do this. They presented it to Ray J. And when they presented it to Ray J went ahead and signed off on it and agreed to it. So they had sex in different areas. The first time they did it, they showed it to the mother. And when the mother saw it, she looked at it and she said, this sex tape isn't good enough. We need you to make another one. So they went to Cabo and had this, nice hotel. It was all an act. It was all an act. Kim was acting the whole time. The mother was behind it the whole time. It was all an act. Anyways, they wanted the fame. Kim started getting famous for it, right? Then, of course, she stayed in that lane. She married somebody else before Chris Humphrey. Then she married Chris Humphrey. It lasted a short while. She gets divorced. Now she's at the peak of fame because, he's a good basketball player. So she marries Reggie Bush. That falls apart. Reggie Bush was at the peak of his game when he was playing for the Saints, right? Boom, he's at the top of his game. He gets crushed one day. Bam, boom, he's out of there. They trade him to the Dolphins. Boom, he's finished after that. But mind you, Reggie Bush came out of USC in the #1 draft pick, Heisman Trophy winner. You know what I'm saying? So she keeps herself in the limelight with these men. It's all about the limelight. This is her mother positioning her, stay in a limelight, stay in a limelight, stay in a limelight. This is why Kim is able to talk to anyone that she chooses to, and she is the most sought after as far as famous. She's the most famous person on the planet right now. Kim Kardashian. Right now. Kanye West looks at this. He goes, you're the most famous woman on the planet. I need the attention of the people, which he's always crying out for. I need the attention of the people, meaning I need your platform. How do I get your platform? You like marrying rich black men. I need your platform. He marries Kim Kardashian. He has kids by her, meaning his kids are Kardashians. He needs the name, meaning he can get into these doors. Kim Kardashian, when Donald Trump was in office, she hears a story about a black woman who's doing 22 years in jail because she had weed on her. She hears about the story. She goes to Donald Trump's office and says, this woman is in jail for 22 years for a nonviolent crime, and it turns out it's just nothing but weed. Donald Trump makes a phone call. Boom, that woman is out of jail. Kanye West runs around with a mega hat on. This is not a coincidence, people. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. And then Kanye West was like, I'm surprised of that my wife and how close they are to the Clintons. And I'm like, Kanye, why would you be surprised of that? Why would you be surprised how close they are to the Clintons? And another reason why he was surprised, because you're finding out how devious the Clintons really are. He's waking up to it. That's really what his surprise is. It's not the fact that you know the Clintons. It's the fact that you now know what the Clintons are about. They are not for Black people. You're looking at this and you're going, damn, I didn't know you were so close to the enemy. I didn't know this. Now I see that you are, boom, you're right there with them. Yeah, Kanye. Your wife the whole time and the rest of them are pretty much, they're all doing the same dance. Epstein, all of them. They're all in lockstep with each other. They're all going the same way. And it's a scary thing because you went and married into that movement. And then when you said, you know what, the only way to get out of this is religion. Because he finds out that this is the one thing these people are not. They do not live their life for Christ. So Kanye comes out and next thing you know, he's doing gospel stuff, right? And he goes to his wife and says, if you don't come along on this trip with me, I'm going to separate myself from you. And she's like, this is your journey. It's not mine. The Kardashians are not people of faith. They don't give a damn about Jesus. They don't. They only care about staying in the limelight. That's all they care about. Kanye West is like, I have to get away from these people. And that's what he did. And Pete Davis and all this other stuff. And soon it'll be another guy. And, he'll never get her back. That's it. So that's the reality of Kanye West. I'm sorry it took me so long to get all the way around to all this. But it's just so much. And there's so much more. But Kanye West is waking up. And this is what happens when you wake up to a reality that you thought you had some control over. You realize that you're $3.5 billion into a system that is corrupt to its very, very core. And your wife is one of the headmasters of this corruption. Kim is and has led people to their death. Those BBLs, they did it because the Kardashians did it. The makeup that they wear, her sister is a billionaire because of makeup. Trash. Listen, these people are walking people off the plank. And West finally realized this. From the matriarch on down. Listen, every Black man that they've dealt with has been destroyed in one way or another. They have diminished as soon as they got involved with them. And you can't tell me I'm wrong. You tell me one that hasn't diminished by messing with the Kardashians. And when you realize this and you have children by this person, you realize you're not even in control of your children. What did Kanye West said? They've taken my children. He's basically saying they're taking my children away from me. He said, I couldn't show up to North's birthday party. He bought a house next to the Kardashians and he still couldn't go to his daughter's birthday party. If that don't tear you down, nothing will. Nothing. And now, here's what's really scary for Kanye West. This is really, really sad. North is now on Instagram. And Kanye West saw this and he flipped. He flipped out. And he tried to tell Kim, don't let her get on Instagram. But Kim was like, this is my child. I do what I want. Now Kanye realizes, listen, you're just like us. You're rich as hell, but you're just like us. That woman controls your child. You don't control that child. That woman does. When you decided to go and stay in that ranch, and then, live in a stadium, and then you stayed out a ranch and all this, you left your children. You left them behind, all four of them. And now they're growing up with strange men who are sleeping in your bed. They're not going to listen to you. Your daughter is about to get pimped out. If you don't think that the matriarch, Kim Kardashian's mother, Kris, if you don't think Kris Kardashian isn't looking at North and going, you're a very good looking young lady, I wonder what I can put you in. If you don't think that's happening, you're blind and you can't see. That was happening when she got pregnant. Kris is looking at that child going, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because she's looking at all her daughters and going, yeah, you guys, Kim, you're 40. You're 40, 4 kids. All your best parts have dropped 4 inches. You just had a daughter. Your daughter's what, 10, 11? She'll hit puberty, what, next year? It's a wrap. She's like, yeah, put her on Instagram. Let's see if she gets a following. She gets out there on Instagram, millions of followers. It doesn't matter that who the followers are. What matters is that you got followers. That child is relevant right now. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. That child is relevant. 3 years from now, it's gonna be bad. That child's gonna be walking around with an attitude. It's gonna be unreal. It's gonna be unreal because she's not protected. Her father's not there. Kim will have somebody else knocking her boots in next week? They'll say she's dating somebody else. It probably already. Because Pete's out. That's done with. I don't know why Pete thought he was going to be something and tattoo in her name. No, she said it. She was DTF. That's all she wanted. She was DTF. That's all you were. She got what she wanted, and that's it. Pete Davidson is a great lover. He is. He's attentive. He's got a, huge schlong. That's why these women like him. But it's not, I'm not going to marry you. Your name is what? Who else is famous? And who you got? Is your mother famous? Your dad? Nah, it's not going to happen. And you're white. I can't. How long do you think that marriage to Travis, who was it, Travis Barker? To who, Courtney? Whoever the hell? How long do you think that marriage is going to last? Not very long. Because they're not what? Black. They like black men. That's it. Kanye West is waking up to all of this. And he can't do anything about it. So he's complaining. And he's trying to stop genocide of black people that's been happening. And he can't do it. He can't do it. His talent only has taken him so far. And unless he can get with people who have way more money than he does, way more power, and actually get up under their tutelage on how to escape some of the people who control the economic system and all this, unless he can get off him up, get off him up under this some way, he's going to keep snapping out the way he is. He's humbling himself, but it's only a matter of time before he flips out again. He's going to do it. People are going to be like, he's crazy. No, he doesn't. He can't get out of his own way. He can't. He's brilliant. He sees what's going on, and he's suffering because he can't do anything about it. If he was rich enough to build another planet, you better believe that he would be promoting that planet, saying, come and live on this planet. That's what I think about Kanye West. I'm sorry it's so long, but I feel sorry for the guy. The White Lives Matter. Sorry, I didn't cover that. White Lives Matter. The reason why he did that is because he talked about. Okay, this is going to go further, but you people are here. If you want to listen, I'll talk about it. White Lives Matter. The reason why Kanye West did the White Lives Matter is twofold. One, he has children with a white woman. His children are part white, even though they're classified by the government as black. So that. Another thing is Kanye West talked about white men. And he said that, he was talking about the suffering of white men when it comes to anything that they say, they're scrutinized by. If there's a black person that works for them, they fire the black person, they're called a racist. If they say if they fire somebody who's a homosexual, they're homophobic. If they fire somebody who's a transsexual, they're transphobic. And he's like, there's no protection for the white man, even though I disagree with that. But when it comes to that level, I do understand what he's saying. Now, when you look at the white man and how they've been completely terrorized by movements, the Me Too movement, the woke movement, the transgender movement, the LGBTQ plus movement, all these movements attacked the white man and it uplifted the white woman. It told the white man that, for one, you're too masculine. You're too masculine, and because you're too masculine, we need to find a way to feminize you. We need to find a way to get you out of the position of power that you're in. This is what Me Too did. It went after people who did damage, some of them were wrong, who did damage to women and that were deserving to be tossed in jail. However, it spilled over into females who abused that power and blamed things on men, all men, but especially white men who are in a position of power who did absolutely nothing. And or they said something so long ago that they didn't even realize that it was the thing because it was said 10, 20 years ago. And those men suffered from saying, hey, you look pretty, to writing letters to their coworkers, to, like, Matt Lauer was one of them. Everybody loved Matt Lauer until about 2 years ago. Matt Lauer is off the very show that gave him his name, made him famous, the Today Show. Where's Matt Lauer? Anybody knows? Gone. Me Too movement. So the women that came along and abused this power. Scarlett Johansson came out talking about, some of the actors that she worked with. She talked about Harvey Weinstein. She talked about other actors and so on and so forth. And everybody jumped on this. They even went after Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons ended up jumping ship. He was like, I'm out of here. He went to another country. Anybody heard from Russell Simmons? You ain't heard from him because a white woman said that he slept with her. She willingly did it, but she was under the influence. And the law has changed when it comes to this court, when it comes to courts. The law has changed that says that any woman that consumes a very small amount of alcohol is no longer responsible for what she does. So they went back. These women said, hey, I slept with so and so after we left the bar 10, 15 years ago. We had sex. I'm not sure that I was in my right mind. And because of this, I'm going to make a claim against this person and try to sue them. Here's the thing. You made a claim against a person. This person was somebody of position and or fame. When you did this, you went after his money. You went and got Gloria Allred. You went and got her thieving ass as a lawyer. And Gloria Allred was just like, yeah, you did this. We're going to come after your money. Well, the problem with that is every man, from the poor man to rich man, sees what you did. And they see how many men are getting their balls ripped off because of the Me Too movement. And then they're finding out that some of these men didn't do what these women claimed. They didn't do it. They were completely innocent. However, they still suffered the consequence. They had to go to court, which means they had to pay a lawyer. So they wouldn't go to jail. Some of them went to jail first, and then they had to prove themselves innocent, which is completely backwards. And then they lost their job. Some of these men were famous, like Matt Lauer, so they lost their job. They lost their money. They lost their credibility. They may have lost their 401k. Some of these men had golden umbrellas. No more. These guys are not immune anymore. And when you did this, all the other men who are not of, that ilk, we don't make millions, we don't have all this influence, we sat back and watched. And we learned. The Me Too movement can get anybody in trouble with a whisper. It doesn't matter if you did it. And in some cases, the man didn't even know the woman. He had no sexual intercourse with this woman at all. And that spilled over until the child support system. The child support system right now is highly, highly dangerous to any man, even if you sleep with the woman or you don't even have to know the woman. There are cases where men have gone to jail for years over a woman that they did not even know, but the woman said he's the father. One woman picked her neighbor because the neighbor was a nice guy. But the neighbor had no idea that she's going to go into this hospital and say, John Doe, which lives right next door to me, this is his name, this is his address, this is his phone number, he is the father. He didn't even realize that she did this until he got a child support letter. And he was liable. Another situation is where a man was playing with a woman's child. I don't know if he went to visit her or whatever, but he's just playing with the child. And the woman leaves the house for a minute or two. She comes back. The guy's like, here's your kid, whatever, goes on about his way. Child support gets in touch with him, says, hey, you owe child support. He's like, for what? For this child. If you go to a woman's house and that woman leaves you with that child, she can say that if you say, hey, I was babysitting, but there was no money exchanged, she can say, my child is attached to you. And being that her child is attached to you, you now owe child support. These are the things that Kanye West was talking about. This is how messed up it is right now. So those are just some of the things that he's seen and he complained about on Drink Champs. I went a little further into it, but this is why he's saying these things. So when it comes to White Lives Matter, there's a whole thing that goes with that, what him and Candace Owens was doing. But it was really crazy because Candace Owens is married to a white man and has a child with a white man. So, and Kanye West was married to a white woman and has or Armenian, which is white, and has a child or has children with a white woman. So it made it seem like they turned their back on black people because they said white lives matter. It was a slap in the face to black people, according to them, because they were like, Black Lives Matter was made because black people were being killed by the police and their life matters. Well, this is very true. Then you have people going, well, hell, there have been, 7 times more white people killed than, black people. But then you bring up the numbers when you really get into it, you go, there's 7 times more white people in America than there are black people. 236 million compared to 40 million is not even close. It's not even close. So yeah, the police are killing more of you because there's more of you. So this is why the White Lives Matter thing really sparked a lot of pissivity in black people. But I wasn't upset at it at all because I completely understood it. If Kanye West had children with Martian, he would go, Martian Lives Matter. And that would be that. That's where he stands. I don't stand with him, but I understand what he's doing. I stay out of the Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter. I stay out of that. I don't deal with any of that because, for one, the Black Lives Matter people who actually started it, it's just so deep. The Black Lives Matter the money that they got went to only, for one, it went to politicians, and it also went to 2 gay black women who took the money and squandered it with their family. None of that money went into the community to help the community, not once, not at all. They squandered the whole money. And I never really looked at it as something that was going to help, not unless I saw that it helped. Then I saw that it was hijacked by other groups who were going around destroying stuff, talking about Black Lives Matter. And it turns out that you guys are on the opposite fence of what Black Lives Matter actually meant. So I stayed out of it because it was too convoluted and you couldn't tell who was who. And I went out to not one of the marches, but when downtown Columbus was being closed by police, I went down there. I even had a YouTube video of it. So that's what I think of Kanye West. I don't think he's crazy. I think he's very sane. And I think he's going to find some help elsewhere. I don't know where. But I think he's going to do what Akon did. He's going to contact the Chinese. And he's going to try to build a utopia. Whether it's going to work or not, I don't know. But I think he's going to die trying. Now, some people are saying that he's moving like somebody who's not going to be here long. They're only saying that because the people who are in control, healthcare and banks, they're known for knocking people off. They are. Oil companies, those people will knock you off if you threaten any of their money. Kanye West is not threatening their money. Even though he's talking about what they're doing, we all know what they're doing. We all know who's in control. You could tell during COVID in New York how in the height of COVID, there were black people being arrested and thrown in jail for walking around downtown. And then there was a funeral by the Hasidic Jews, and they came out in hundreds. Not one mask to be found. They walked right downtown, right down a major avenue. Not one mask, and the police were just standing there looking at them. All in their black with their, black hats, pretty much saying the police aren't going to touch us. Yeah. See, what you don't understand is you guys made it very clear to us that you're not right. You're not. So don't complain when somebody complains about what you really are. You made it very visible. We all saw it. Okay, it is what it is. Now we have to check ourselves and say, do we want to keep going the same route where we have limited control? Or do we want to do what Akon is doing and build our own system where we control the system? If you guys control the banks and the almighty dollar, you control the war machines. We want to get away from that. Let's go to another country and let's build our own system that's not based upon the dollar, the falling dollar, the fragile dollar. Let's go digital. Let's use Bitcoin. Let's use Akon coin or whatever, or let's use a barter system. And that's what people are looking at. They're like, we need a system that we can live by without being under your helm. But the end result of that could go one way or another. It could, if it's successful, we've seen here in America what successful systems came to. Seneca Village is one of them. Seneca Village is Central Park. That place at one time was called Seneca Village, and it was 70% black people, free slaves, and it was 25% Irish. And it was flourishing. They had their own doctor's office, banks, grocery stores, so on and so forth. What happened is the government came and said everybody has to leave, and they took it over, and they did it by land contract. Just a piece of paper. You have to leave. There are several stories like this, but the majority of these towns that sprung up and were their own entity, like Black Wall Street, those towns were everywhere. And what happened is the government would come in and land contract those people. And to hide what the government did, they flooded those places. So a lot of your lakes, a lot of these lakes that you guys go to fish, there are dead people in the water. There's a whole city up under some of these famous lakes that you guys know. And that you're fishing and all this other stuff. You just don't know it's there because you don't know the history. But a lot of those places there are dead people down there. Because those people lived and died there, they buried their people there like any other city. And yeah. So a lot of these cities were black. And the government just came and just took it from them. And, wiped them out in one way or another. Indians and, all that. So, yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening, you guys. It's your boy Tom 202. I'm out.